All right, welcome. We're back. Season 2 of Next Up with IE. I'm your host, Daniel Roberts. Always shout out to my boy in the back recording, Dave Montgomery. Today we have a special guest, an amazing guest. She's relatively new to the industrial engineering department, but she's already making waves. I want to like to introduce the fantastic, the legendary Aliya Scott.
Woohoo!
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
I know it's a very nice day outside, and it's like kind of nice to be able to do this episode. And I'm very grateful that you're able to be on the show with us, and because you're amazing and you have so many stories, and I can't wait for you to tell our listeners. First, we do this on every episode, and I want to make sure that I do it with you as well. We have a thing called the word of the day. And it's just an opportunity for us to kind of, what is the word of the day to get you through that day? Like, what is the thing that keep you going? That word. Like every day I always have a word. It's like an affirmation for myself. And that's what I do it every day. And I'll go first and let you my word of the day, explain why, and then I will allow you to take the floor. So my word of the day is peace. As I went through my journey over the summer, I've learned that peace is so valuable, protecting it. It looks different, it feels different, and it made me a better man. And it's almost like my word every day, to be honest. Ever since I kind of discovered it over the summer, it's almost been my word every day, just peace and finding it and maintaining it. And you look at life a little differently. You don't really overthink as much. And you also have that opportunity for growth, continuous growth. And I'm very thankful that I was able to obtain that peace over the summer. So that's my word of the day. Aliya, what is your word?
Okay. I just want to say thank you, listeners, for letting me be part of this journey. I really, really appreciate it. So I actually have a quote of the day. So similar to you, I decided to run a 5K this year. I'm in my 40s. I know I look like I'm in my 20s. I get it. I look young. So hold back the nice comments, sir. So I decided I was going to start running. And that was my goal for this year. And I'm a mother, and that is my top priority. And I want to empower other women in my community. So I started running club with all the other females that I know. And we run and we walk every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we start the day with a quote of the day. And my quote of the day today is, and I'll read it out to you because it's on my phone. Life is tough, but so are you. Mm-hmm. And I strive to instill this in my own children and myself. Because I know for me, my journey of coming over to this country and the many obstacles I faced of being female, just my background, I've faced many obstacles and I've overcome them. And I hope to instill those values in my own two children. So I'm going to start with that.
I like that. That is very beautiful. Like, life is tough, but so is you. It's a reminder that we're going to face trials and tribulations, but we're built to preserve and endure. That is awesome. Like, I'm motivated now. So before we start, I want to let people know who you are. So you right now, Aliya is a graduate administrator with industrial engineering. Outside of that, what do you want the listeners to know about you outside of your position? But what do you want people to know? Just a quick rundown.
I'll start with my professional journey, but also my personal journey as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in sociology. That is really important to me because I want to make sure that where I focused on diversity, equity, and those parameters, those concepts are really, really important to me. I continued growing. I continued working on my professional development, and when I was in the United Kingdom, I worked as an educator. I worked with students who were going on to pursue careers in the health and social care industry. After that, I moved over to the United States, and I was very fortunate where I continued mentoring students. I'm now here working with our graduate students and just listening to some of the challenges that they're facing, similar to challenges that I also faced. Facing the challenges of imposter syndrome, facing the challenges of overcoming the challenges of coming to a different country and a different culture and all that encompasses. But also that's empowering too, because you're learning. There's so much beauty in that too.
Wow, that is amazing. And it kind of ties into like our first question, like what inspires you to pursue the role as graduate administrator in industrial engineering? And how has that journey been so far? So you kind of touched about it a little bit, but I'd say if you want to go a little bit more detail.
Yeah. So I am a helper. I think that is one of my strengths. And when I did the strengths assessment, one of my key strengths is I love helping. I love coming up with a plan. Like I did that this morning for my husband. He was just like, you need to calm down. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I stopped coming up with a plan for me. And I think that's just my personality. If someone has a problem, I will come up with a solution and I will implement a solution. So if you have a problem, whether it's DIY, I can't do any DIY students. The only thing I can do is paint. So if you need help painting, I can do that. But if there's a problem, I will help you with a solution and a plan. And I think that is one of my strengths. So the reason why I was inspired, and that was the question, correct? What inspired me to take on this role? My journey as an educator has been driven by a passion for teaching and a desire to help students grow their capacity. Working with middle and high school students, I realized that graduate students face similar challenges and obstacles. They need guidance. Mm-hmm. They need direction, and they want someone to listen to them. And this inspired me to make that transition. I wanted to stretch myself. I wanted to challenge myself. I have 2 kids, and I said that earlier, and I always tell my kids that if you're comfortable, that's not good enough. You need to be uncomfortable. And I'm like Tiger Mom. So my son Duke, shout out to Duke, he started school yesterday and it was his first day back. And he had a pre-test in math. Mm. And we knew the day before because we had meet the teacher day. And his teacher told him, hey, you're going to have a math test tomorrow. He came home that day and he was brushing up on area and perimeter.
Okay.
And I was like, what did you get in the test? He got 27 out of 30.
Okay.
And for him, that was not good enough yet because he hadn't challenged himself enough. Mm. And that is the mantra that I instill in my family. And that's what I instill in myself. And being an educator for 15 years, I loved it, but it was too easy for me. And I was just like, I need to feel uncomfortable. Is this job uncomfortable? Yes. And I'm being honest because I'm always transparent. I'm reaching out to other coordinators because I'm like, hey, I have this question. I'm not sure of the answer yet. Can you please help me? And they're like, yep, we've got you. So students, build your network. Do not be afraid to ask questions because other people will help you if you let them. And I think you have to let your guard down because people can help. And that's what I have loved about Purdue and IE. I am not from higher education. And at the beginning, and this is a true story, and I hate saying this, I cried my first week. I went into Daniel's office and I cried because I said, I don't belong here at Purdue. I'm crying now, this is really silly. Because I feel like a fish out of water. I don't belong in IE. And he told me that it's okay. Because I was really uncomfortable. And I'd left teaching, and it was something that was really easy, and I was really good at it. And he helped me through it. And I've met all these amazing people, and I've built my network. And I feel like now I can do anything. I feel really comfortable and confident. So students, you're in great hands. That's what I'm going to tell you. But I'm so fortunate because there are so many amazing people at Purdue. And I've just realized that it's okay to stretch yourself. And that's how you get the most growth. And I feel really honored to be in this position. And I'm so glad that I challenged myself and took this risk. So as a graduate administrator, my role is to help you think through some of the choices that you're going to be making and the decisions that you're going to be making to help you come up with the best plan for yourself. And the best way we can do that is by connecting you to the resources out there. And I feel like I have, I'm okay reaching out to other people because I've done that for myself.
Wow, that's a very powerful answer. It seems like the journey, although there have been some bumps in the road, you found it okay to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's what you're trying to allude for your kids. Like, hey, it's okay to be uncomfortable at times. That's where growth happens.
Yes.
And I'm so happy for you that you're at a better place mentally, spiritually, to kind of inspire the graduate students because they're going to see this. They're going to see this video and they're going to be
mascara
like,
leaking.
"Oh no, it's okay." But I would say to have that feeling of uncomfortable, like it's hard because I've been there before and I know how it feels. And once you get to a place of comfort, of knowing that it's okay to be uncomfortable, you find peace in that.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I actually have like two friends that are in the UK. My buddy Quasi, I don't know if he moved. Steph and Quasi. I don't know if Quasi moved to Africa. I know he does like a lot of mission trips. But I told him that I told Steph and Quasi that I was going to be talking to you, and I told them that you were from the UK, and they were like, "Ask her about this, ask her about that," and I was like, "Okay, I will do my best. Like, she has a job. I can't be asking every question in the world, but as someone from the UK, how do you find academic and cultural difference in engineering education between the UK and the US?"
Okay. That's a really interesting question. So I'm just going to start with my observations and then just my own first-hand experience. So I'm going to start with the first portion, which is the academic differences. So I would say that from my own first-hand experience, the main difference in terms of the academic piece is that in the UK, it's more theory-based rather than practice. So let me give you an example. In the UK, when I was doing my undergraduate degree, we would have projects and there would be minimum supervision.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I would say in the US, there's projects, but there's more emphasis on collaborative learning.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, we are given assessments. They are heavily weighted, and they would be final projects and capstone projects. In the US, in my experience, assessments are given, but they are given throughout the year. They're varied, and then students have an opportunity to show their growth throughout the year through multiple assessments, whether there's quizzes, discussions, etc., which I really like because you don't just have that one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know when I was doing my undergraduate, it was there was so much pressure because you just had that one shot, and if you fail, that was it. And that does put a lot of pressure on students. In terms of culture, I do find this really interesting. In the UK, in terms of extracurricular, they are available, but students have a choice, but they're not really integrated.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's heavily academic, whereas over here, they're integrated into the student experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like example, I'd never heard of homecoming. In the UK, we don't have that. I didn't know what that was. And then I came over here and I was just like, this is really cool. And it's really empowering that we're actually building a student community and we're empowering our students so they feel part of the university. And the other main difference is in the UK, you are not going to have academic advisors. You don't have them. So you just have your professor and then you. So you don't have an academic advisor that's going to guide you through your journey. You're on your own. You're guiding yourself. And so over here, I do like the fact that there's someone who you can go to, they're guiding you. And in the UK, this is very true, it's very formal. So you're not going to go meet your professor, out of office hours or like for an informal chat. You can't just drop into their office.
Mm-hmm.
That is not allowed. So stiff upper lip, very true. Sorry. That's how it is.
No, it's the culture. From understanding cultural differences is very valuable because we have a lot of students that do go to study abroad, and sometimes that's very valuable information to know because they may have to, like obviously they have their advisors domestically, but if they're traveling internationally,
Correct.
they might need assistance or help, and to know that maybe okay, what are some resources that I could go to assist me with my classes, assist me with, and that's valuable information because I didn't even know that. That's very interesting. It's also very interesting because, like in your experiences, you have worked in education, and everything. What do you see as key challenges for graduate students in industrial engineering that they may face, and how do you support them in overcoming those obstacles?
Okay. I'm very fortunate because I have worked with diverse students from lots of different landscapes and backgrounds, which is important because it gives me a holistic perspective and approach.
Yeah.
And that is my why. In terms of the challenges that our graduate students face, I believe that all students face these challenges, whether they're in industrial engineering or not. But from my experience in my short tenure here, and from what I've seen, the graduate students in IE, especially those in non-thesis programs, often face challenges related to securing internships, co-ops, how to prepare for successful interviews, and to build their personal brand. to support them, I will and have provided personalized guidance and mentorship. I can help them develop their professional skills. I can help them with strategies of how to effectively job search. I can connect them with workshops on resume building and what resources are out there to interview effectively, how to network and prepare for them for the job market. I am very approachable. I am available. And I want our students and all students to feel supported and empowered in achieving their dreams and goals.
Wow, you are definitely a solution-oriented individual. You definitely want to help individuals be the best version of themselves. That was one of the things that I think we connected on, that we love helping individuals elevate, or at least point them in the right direction, because it's not our responsibility to do the work for them, but we can motivate them, we could guide them, we can give them guidance. But after that, they have to do the work. But it's awesome that you have that mindset of like, hey, here's the guidance, you do the work, but I want you to succeed. In your heart, you want them to succeed. And when they hear it from you and they see the passion that you're giving to them, it motivates them to even want to do better. So that's awesome. I like that. Go ahead.
And I love the Olympics. I don't know if you're following this. And I was having a chat with a friend of mine, and it's Noah Lyles, and it stuck out to me. He was like, "Why not me? Students, why not you? I want to leave you." That's really important. Why not you for the next internship? Why not you for the next job offer?
Okay.
I want you to think about that.
I like that. Why not me? Yeah, I like that. That's all right. Might steal that, or maybe every now and then.
Steal it.
So, we talked about a lot of things, like your journey. We talked about like the differences culturally and academically. We talked about obstacles that you see from graduate students and what they may face and how you approach it. So, with your experience and unique perspective, what topics do you think would be most impactful for the engineering podcast, and how do you envision involvement? And to give a little background, Ms. Aliya will be assisting me with future podcasts. So she will be co-hosting the podcast going forward. And this is kind of like the introductory for people to see who you are. So that's a little context for a background for our listeners.
Listeners, this is going to be an amazing journey. If you're not listening, you are going to miss out, because you have two amazing hosts. One is from the UK with an amazing accent. That's all I can say. But what you'll gather from the both of us is we're authentic. We're organic. And from me, I listen to what students need, and I meet them where they're at. And I think that's really, really important. And how can I make that happen? How can that happen? And I'll give you some examples of what I've done in my classroom, because I'll probably apply a similar approach, and then I'll give some other examples of what I've thought of. So in my classroom, when I was teaching, I'd ask my students, what is it that you want? What are some topics that you're interested in? This is what I think you want, but tell me your voice, because I can't speak for you. You have a voice, and I want to hear your voice. And they would tell me in the form of a Google Sheet, where it was anonymous and it was beautiful, and then I would implement. And I think that's so important. So students, graduate students, rather than us dictating what you want to listen to. I think it would be amazing if you could tell us the topics that you want us to talk about. And here are some of my ideas. But you can give us some ideas. So, one of the challenges I suggested was career development. Students, from my experience in my short tenure, are struggling with securing internships, preparing for interviews. How about one of you students come in and maybe talk about if you struggled with interviews, how did you overcome that? Maybe some workshops that you attended. Maybe you were successfully navigated an internship. What did that look like? What was your success story? Who motivated you? So maybe you could come in and talk about your journey. That was one example that I came up with. Another example that I thought of is maybe spotlighting students. So if, for example, if there was a student who developed an AI-based system to optimize supply chain logistics, we could showcase that AI technology and how that improved efficiency. Those are some of my ideas, but maybe you have some of your own.
Wow, okay. That's pretty awesome because as we're progressing towards the future of the podcast and having a co-host, I always want to get other people's perspective, and I know as a dynamic we'll do very well. And I know as we're going forward, the podcast episodes will be a little bit shorter, but we want quality over quantity. Don't get me wrong, the first season was amazing. We got a chance to meet some amazing people, some eyes on the show, people who are interested and want more. And I think when me and you talk, one of the things we wanted to do is say, hey, we want to provide quality. So instead of doing like 5 episodes a semester, maybe 2 to 3, but we want quality episodes. So that's why we want to try to get perspective, because then we can look for the right people to bring on the show, whether it is a student that's doing something amazing in the industrial engineering, or we could bring in a career development person who can kind of talk about their perspective and ideas, or bringing somebody from the College of Engineering, or just bringing in different guests with different perspectives, not just industrial engineering, but to think outside the box. And I think it's going to be something great. The stuff that me and you are going to do together, I think we're going to do an amazing job because we're focusing on the quality instead of the quantity. Um, so this is the part of the episode where we like to show love to or give a shout out to people that's important in our life or special in our life, or people that helped us, or individuals that may have an impact in our life. So I will allow you to go first.
I'm going to give a big shout out to my husband. He is running for school board. So hopefully he's going to be successful. Big shout out to him. And I'm also going to give a big shout out to my grad network that I've created. They've been super helpful in supporting me, and my IE family. I am so lucky to be a part of this department. Everyone is super cool and awesome, and they've been super fantastic in supporting me. And I'm really lucky. So, students, you're really lucky to be a part of this department.
Definitely. I would like to give a shout out, and he already knows what I'm going to say. Dave Montgomery, like this guy, we came up with an idea about a year and a half ago where we were just doing student spotlights, and we were like, man, this would be a very interesting thing to talk about. Like we were having offline conversations with like some of the guests that we were spotlighting, whether it's students or faculty, and we noticed that they had so much valuable information. And I think if it was for Dave to kind of give that nudge, but like, hey, this might be something interesting, and then we sat and talked about what the future looked. And it's crazy because like we're elevated, we got new stuff and mics and all that. So I want to thank Dave, and I want to thank the shout out to the Industrial Engineering department for and I would say this sponsoring us because they help provide the funding to get the equipment and to have the space to have these authentic conversations and have like it's so crazy to see that season one it was just a lapel mic to our shirt and where Dave is trying to edit in the background and I'm trying to give some pointers and everything and then now we have like actual mics where we can kind of be more relaxed and be ourselves. I'm very confident of the future of the podcast. So I want to thank Industrial Engineering, and I want to give a special shout out to my mother. My mother was probably the biggest contributor to my piece this summer. I love that woman, and like that's like my best friend, and like she always motivates me. So give a shout out to her and my siblings, all my siblings. Like I have my little brother Darvin, my little sister Nasia, my other little brother Willie, and my other little sister Brenda, and then my nephew Avery, and my niece Zyla. It's so awesome that like I have opportunity to talk, have a platform to give people opportunity to talk, share their experience with the world, and because I told you when we was gonna do this, I said people gonna know who you are.
I was really nervous. I was just
Oh,
like, oh, my
definitely.
accent. And
No,
I was really nervous.
it's gonna. That's what makes it even better. And I want to make sure I give a shout out, which I want to kind of transition into giving a shout out to you. I want to thank you so much because I know this is something new that you haven't really experienced, and you are a natural, absolute natural,
Thank you.
and you have so much knowledge and information that I think people they need to hear, and they need to see that authentic version of you because I think one of the things is being okay with being in tune with your emotions and acknowledging that you know what you're gonna go through things and you're gonna get through them, but it's okay to acknowledge that, address the emotion, acknowledge it, sit in it for a little bit, but then like you come up with solutions to kind of move forward because you don't want to stay stagnant in the emotion because then that's going to be the clutch that holds you back. Finally, I want to give like a final shout out of love to the listeners. Like it's kind of awesome when we first started, we were at like maybe 10, 15 listeners, and then it's kept elevating, elevating, and elevating. And I'm gonna give a shout out to the people that actually listen and support the show. And I can't wait for the future because I think the next set of guests that we will have will be monumental. And I think it'll be something that people will actually tune in. So thank you to our listeners for listening to the start of season 2 of Next Up with IE with your co-hosts, your hosts. So let me make sure I get that correctly. With your hosts, Daniel Roberts and Aliya Scott. And I'm looking forward to season 2 of Next Up in IE. Have a good day.
Thank you. And like, share, and listen. I'm going to leave you with this quote. Life is tough. So are you. And why not you?
Peace.
Thank you.